Hello, basketball people. We've got some breaking news for Dub Nation. Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report. If you're here for Golden State rumors, upgrades, and inside chatter, smash that like button, subscribe right now, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. I'm a Warriors fan like you, and today we're diving into three names that could change everything for this team: Malcolm Brogdon, Al Horford, and yes, Ben Simmons. Imagine those three in blue and gold joining Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and the rest of the court. Suddenly, the Warriors look deeper, stronger, and ready to fight toe-to-toe with anyone in the West. Let's start with Malcolm Brogdon. He's the kind of guard who doesn't just play basketball. He controls basketball. A Sixth Man of the Year winner, a player who can start or come off the bench, a guy who knows how to handle the ball, calm down the game, and hit timely shots. Brogdon isn't flashy, but he's reliable, and in the Warriors system, that's exactly what you want. Picture Steph flying around off the ball while Brogdon runs the pick and roll with Draymond, patiently reading the defense. Or picture Brogdon leading the second unit when Curry rests, making sure the offense doesn't collapse. Those middle minutes, the ones that always feel dangerous, suddenly feel safe. Brogdon is that insurance policy. And then Al Horford. Yes, he's 39. But let's not get fooled by age alone. This is one of the smartest big men in basketball. He spaces the floor, he passes, he defends without fouling, and he brings leadership that shows up every day. The Warriors have needed a stretch five who doesn't clog the lane, who can hit the open three and keep the offense humming, and Horford is that guy. He averaged 9 points and 6 boards last season while shooting over 36% from deep. Put that in Golden State's motion system, and you unlock Draymond's short roll again. Steph and Klay get cleaner looks, Kuminga and Wiggins get more space to cut, and the bench gets a veteran presence who doesn't panic in the playoffs. Horford doesn't need the ball, he just needs the right team. And then, the big wild card, Ben Simmons. Now I know what you're thinking. Simmons has been criticized for years. He's been doubted. He's been written off. He's been called overrated. But in Golden State's system, his flaws shrink and his strengths explode. He doesn't need to shoot when Steph and Klay are on the floor. He just needs to defend, rebound, and pass. And those three things are exactly what he's always been elite at. Imagine Simmons grabbing a rebound, pushing the ball in transition, and finding Curry for an open three. Imagine Simmons switching onto LeBron, onto Luka, onto anyone, while Draymond roams free. Suddenly, the Warriors aren't just playing basketball, they're suffocating you. And here's where it gets interesting. Simmons wouldn't need to play 35 minutes a night. He could play 20 to 25 high-impact minutes, especially when Draymond sits, and keep the Warriors style alive. He's a bridge player, someone who makes sure the team doesn't have to change its identity when the lineups shift. It's not about Simmons becoming a superstar again. It's about Simmons becoming a perfect role piece in a system that knows how to use role players. So what does this mean? It means the Warriors are cooking something. It means the front office hasn't gone quiet just to be quiet there, waiting for the Jonathan Kuminga situation to resolve, because that's the domino that clears the way. Once that's figured out, deals can move, signings can happen, and suddenly Golden State could look a whole lot different. Sources around the league are saying Horford is basically waiting for this to settle. Brogdon has been on the radar since the start of the offseason, and Simmons, he's out there, still waiting for the right fit. And Golden State checks boxes that no other contender can. Now let's talk about how this actually looks on the court. A lineup with Curry, Brogdon, Wiggins, Draymond, and Horford. That's ball movement, spacing, an IQ at every position. A bench unit with Simmons, Podziemski, Kuminga, and Moody. That's energy, length, and defense. Mix and match as you want. And Kerr suddenly has flexibility he hasn't had in years. Need to go small. Simmons at the 5 with shooters everywhere. Need to go big. Horford at the 5, Draymond at the 4. Wiggins at the 3. Suddenly you're walling off the paint without losing spacing. This is not fantasy basketball. This is what the Warriors have always been best at. Lineups that make sense. Lineups that make opponents miserable. And we can't ignore the timing. The West is stacked. Denver, Minnesota, Dallas, OKC. The competition is brutal. The Warriors can't afford to sit still. They can't just hope Steph carries them for another 82 games plus playoffs. They need reinforcements, they need depth, and they need versatility. These three names Brogdon, Horford, Simmons check every box: guard depth, shooting, front court IQ, playmaking, defense. This isn't about adding stars. It's about adding answers. But let's be honest with each other. As of today, nothing is signed. There's no press conference, no jersey presentation, no handshake photo. What there is smoke. Real smoke. Conversations that insiders are confirming. Rumors that are sticking instead of fading. And when rumors stick, it usually means the ground is moving. That's why you should stay locked into this channel, because when the news breaks, it'll break fast. And we'll have it right here. So, Dub Nation, let's make it interactive. Smash that like if you roll with Brogdon as the bench commander. Drop a comment if you want Horford as the stretch big we've been waiting for. And tell me, would you take a chance on Simmons as the defensive wild card? I want your closing five in the comments: Curry, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, Horford, or Curry, Brogdon, Kuminga, Simmons, AD-style lineups. Debate it, argue it. Tell me what you trust in a Game 7. At the end of the day, the Warriors don't need to rip up the blueprint or pretend to be something they're not. They need to sharpen what already wins in the Bay, pace that turns dead balls into sprints, spacing that stretches a defense past its comfort zone, defense that switches, stunts, and finishes possessions with two hands on the glass, and decision-making that turns every late rotation into a wide-open shot. That's the identity. That's the math. And that's exactly what these three targets bring: steadier ball control, cleaner five-out geometry, and more length on the back line. You're not asking them to rewrite the story, you're asking them to underline the best sentences. If even two of them hit, the floor jumps and the ceiling clears. Golden State stops chasing the play-in and starts hunting the teams at the top of the bracket. The ball pings again, the defense stings again, and Chase Center sounds like it's supposed to: loud on the pass, louder on the swish. This isn't about June or waiting forever for some far-off parade. This is about right now. Late August, the part of the calendar where seasons are quietly won and lost in meeting rooms, group texts, and whiteboards that smell like dry erase ink. This is the phase when scouts clip film until midnight, assistants sketch substitution trees, and the analytics crew runs lineup simulations to see which trios actually bend the math. Training camp is peeking over the horizon. Walkthrough scripts are being drafted. Rotations are getting penciled in with an eraser on top. And depth charts are about to switch from erasable to permanent marker. The next 2 or 3 choices decide whether this group spends the fall surviving or dictating scrapping for position, or walking into opening night with a plan that makes other teams play your game. Rumors aren't noise anymore, they're signals. Calls are being returned, frameworks are on the table. The fit checks out on the court and on the spreadsheet, and the timelines actually line up with what the locker room needs. That's why these possibilities feel real, not wishful thinking. Think of what now really means. It means Kerr and his staff are pre-building ATO packages for the first 10 games. It means role clarity talks: who starts, who closes, who captains the second unit are happening before sneakers touch hardwood. It means conditioning tests and shooting scripts are tailored for the identity we want. Pace into space, early paint touches, drive and kick, set your shell, finish the possession. Golden State still owns the most dangerous gravity in basketball with 30 on the floor. Every screen Steph sets or slips warps the map. Pair that gravity with a cleaner second unit that doesn't hemorrhage possessions. A stretch 5 who keeps the paint clean without clogging it. And a jumbo playmaker who connects the dots between stops and threes, and the 90s script starts to look familiar again. Pace, spray, splash, match up, repeat. That's not nostalgia, that's a template. 1 or 2 smart additions can turn long winners of coin flip quarters into controlled runs. That travel on the road, late August, is also culture season. Captains pull teammates into mini huddles after workouts. Vets swap notes on handoff angles and box-out keys. Young guys learn the difference between open and rhythm. These days decide whether good habits become reflexes by Halloween. That's why alignment matters. Front office, staff, veterans. And the new pieces all speaking the same language: simple reads, honest spacing. 5 guys tied to the same string on defense. When the rumor mill points to players who fit that grammar, you listen harder. When the cap math and the role acceptance also make sense, you lean in. That's where we are, not at the finish line, but on the runway, clearing the fog one green light at a time. So here's what we do while the ink isn't dry. Stay sharp and stay in the huddle. Keep notifications on. Drop your lineup ideas, your ATO calls, and your closing five in the comments. Who's your first sub at the 6:30 mark of the first? Which matchup are you hunting in week 1? Target their slow five in space, or punish their small wings on the glass? Do you want empty corner pick and roll as the late game staple, or Spain as the dagger call? Hit subscribe to Warriors News Fan Report, because the instant a deal becomes real, we'll break it down with film, rotation trees, a cap context, no fluff, just basketball that makes sense. We'll show you how the sets layer, how the coverages change ice, drop, switch, peel switch, and how the minute patterns protect legs for back-to-backs. And remember the anchor that keeps all of this believable. Steph Curry is still here. As long as he's in a Warriors jersey, every credible rumor is a reason to pay attention. Every incremental upgrade can tilt a series by 3 possessions. Every smart addition adds weight to the side of the scale. We like decisions over hero ball, spacing over congestion, poise over panic. Believe in the style pace with purpose. Believe in the fit shoot, cut, move it, and believe in the timing. The groundwork gets poured now. Late August isn't a dead zone, it's the runway, the warm hum before the engines open up. The message is simple and loud enough to rattle the catwalks. Golden State is still in the game. What if the real turning point isn't a blockbuster press conference, but a quiet moment in a late August gym, when 5 guys run the same action 3 times in a row and finally feel it click? What if the next roar at Chase doesn't come from a headline, but from the first clean defensive stand that turns into a hit-ahead 3, and a building that suddenly remembers how to breathe in rhythm? That's where my head is tonight. Not in fantasy land, not in panic, but in that stubborn space where belief and basketball overlap. The details, the angle of a screen, the timing of a cut, the pass that leaves a hand a fraction of a second earlier because the trust is back. You can call it optimism. I call it a bet on habits. I keep coming back to this. Golden State doesn't need salvation. It needs alignment. We can argue rotations all night. Who closes? Who sits? Who soaks up those tenths for minutes with Steph rests? But the blueprint has never been complicated. Play fast with a purpose. Space honestly. Defend without fouling. Finish with 2 hands. If the front office adds the right grown-ups to that room, the rest of the league's what if start to shrink. A steady guard lowers the heart rate. A stretch 5 makes the paint feel breathable again. A jumbo connector turns rebounds into 3s without drama. None of that requires a parade of quotes or smoke machines. It requires men who prefer solving to sulking. I also think about legacy, because whether people admit it or not, that's humming under everything. Steph's presence is a contract with the fan base. As long as 30 laces them up here, the organization owes him competence, clarity, and one more honest swing. That doesn't mean mortgaging a decade for a headline. It means stacking advantages you can trust on a Wednesday in Memphis and a Friday in Denver. It means a second unit that can tie a game instead of bleeding it. It means bigs who screen like it's a craft, wings who cut like it's a promise, and guards who remember that the simplest read is often the right one. Rings come from boring possessions that accumulate. Highlights just tell the story afterward. Maybe you feel burned by rumor cycles. I get that. The internet turns smoke into fireworks and back into smoke before breakfast. But step back and look at the shape of the conversation. The names we've been circling aren't lottery tickets. They're archetypes. Decision maker, who doesn't blink. Big who stretches and talks. Defender playmaker who makes the court smaller for the other team and bigger for his own. If you chase those profiles, you're not chasing a dream, you're obeying the math of how this team has always won. If the deals land, awesome. If they don't, the standard remains visible enough to measure the next move against it. There's a part of me that always drifts to the small scenes fans never see. The pre-practice huddle where a vet tells a rookie to change his pivot foot on the DHO so the angle opens. The film session where the room laughs because a coverage finally looks like a mirror image of the whiteboard. The moment a role player realizes the corner 3 is a career, not a concession. That's where seasons turn. That's where a franchise tone gets reset, not with speeches, but with micro-corrections that stack until a team can predict its own reactions under stress. You can hear that when a building gets quiet at tip and stays loud at the pass. That's the sound of trust returning. So here's my personal stake. I'm not promising you fireworks. I'm promising you accountability. On this channel, if a rumor makes sense, we'll explain why. If it doesn't, we'll explain that too. If a signing happens, we'll cut the film and show you where it lives in the playbook, where it breaks, and how to fix it. If nothing happens, we'll say what that means for rotations in October, not just vibes in August. We'll talk minutes, not myths, coverages, not cliches. Because Warriors basketball deserves to be discussed like the thing it really is. A system of shared decisions that, when done right, makes even great opponents look a half step late. And you're part of this whether you want to be or not. Fans set the metronome. When the room believes in ball movement, the building stands on the pass, not the shot. When the comment section demands lineups that make sense, the conversation inside the team changes shape to yes. People read, people hear, people feel it. Make your case, drop your 5, argue your stagger plan,